to everyone. I'm Rayceen Pendarvis, and I am here with a wonderful, amazing author, poet, activist, teacher, preacher, just prophet.
Yeah, this
Jericho
is true.
Brown.
I like that.
Jericho Brown. So tell us about yourself, Jericho Brown.
I'm a poet. I'm from Louisiana originally. I live in Atlanta now. I teach at Emory University, where I'm a college professor. And I have a new book that just came out called The Tradition. And I'm really excited about it. I'm glad to be here in DC with you and be able to share it with so many people in the area.
How about that? That's amazing. And you talk about you're a teacher, teaching and inspiring our young people. Who inspired you?
Who inspired me? It's hard to narrow down, actually. You know, I was just telling somebody, I'm really glad that I grew up in the Black church. I mean, I think if anything, the root of everything I do goes back to looking at growing up in the church and how people would talk. You know, Black people get up in the church and they speak in that way. It's still plain spoken but dignified. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, very.
And I think a lot of that has to do with why I'm a writer. Just listening to the pastor, just listening to people's cadences when they would speak, hearing my grandmother tell stories when I was growing up. And really, to be quite honest with you, I would say that a huge influence for me is my grandparents, both of my grandparents, on both sides of my family. My grandparents were sharecroppers as young as I am. And my grandfather figured out how to get out of that sharecropping system, buy his own land, grow cotton, and provide for his family. He sent almost half of his 13 kids to college.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's amazing. So that's who inspires you.
That's what inspires
me. How wonderful that is to have people that you can look up, especially family. Family, I think, is the root of everything when they inspire you to be great.
Yeah.
Inspire you to be. And thinking of greatness, I think about a little story I told earlier about how I met you. Yeah. And we were talking about that pre-interview, and we were talking about how I met you, and I was sitting in an airport holding court because I'm the queen of everything.
It's true.
And I was holding court and gathering and speaking and laughing and having fellowship. Yeah. And I saw you.
He was walking by.
And he was walking by, and he was watching us, and I saw him watching us. And I knew he belonged to us. I knew he was family. I knew.
I belonged ever since then.
Yes, he belonged ever since. So I called him over and I said, come.
Yeah.
Come sit with family.
Yeah.
And oh my God, that had to be about 15 years ago.
It was so funny. It was like 15 years ago. It was back when I was living in San Diego. And when you called me over, everybody was laughing, but they were also nervous. Because they were like, what if you are wrong? What if he does not belong to us?
But that's something you belong to me because you were already initiated by the color of your skin.
Yes, very good. I like that. I love that.
I love color. You belong to us because I could see the all this that was coming our way. You had these amazing, beautiful, long locks, and you were looking so regal. And he was in our family. I knew that he had to come unto Wakanda. I said, come and be among us. And the good thing about, even if I didn't know that you were that part of our family, the fact that you were among folks, like-minded people.
Yeah, exactly.
Who were experiencing fellowship and joy and laughing and gathering and talking and just exchanging love. And I could feel it just vibrate off of you.
I mean, well, that's what I love about what you do. That's what you're engendering. That's what you're inspiring. Ultimately, when people see you, they know it's about to be a good time.
How about that?
Which is why I'm glad. I'm really glad to be here with you because that's the way I feel about the work I do. I'm trying to create unity. I'm trying to create love amongst people through these poems. So I'm really happy to be here with you.
It's wonderful. I mean, it's talking about your amazing process and the journey and books and writing and the power of words.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I was fortunate enough, I like to say fortunate enough to have a mother who couldn't afford childcare, but she was an improvisational genius. So she would take me and my sister to the library when she had to go do things. And whether the librarians knew it or not, they were our babysitters.
How about that?
And when I was a kid, I remember opening books in the library. You know, I'm old enough to where, now the first 2 floors of libraries are computers. When I was in the library, there was nothing but books.
How about that?
So I would open a book and I would be so intimidated by all the words. I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of words. But when I found poems, I got excited. Wow. I felt like I was cheating. So I was like, that's only 1/4 of the page. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I just started devouring poems when I was very young. And I think that was at the root of a lot of what I do. At 7, 8, 9, I was reading Gwendolyn Brooks, I was reading Phyllis Wheatley, I was reading Rita Dove at a very young age. And I couldn't understand a word of it, but I loved it because I could get through it, you know? And then after that, I started studying it. I took it seriously. And I understood that I would have to really give up a lot for it. Because, you know, if you're going to write a poem, you're going to tell the truth. And if you're telling the truth, everybody doesn't always like that.
Ooh,
you know.
that's powerful.
When you're called to do something, you have to do it. And if you're doing it right, you're going to lose some folk along the way. And it's sad.
But that's part of the journey.
But that's a sign.
Yeah.
It's a sign that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Often that's a sign.
And you're walking in your life,
Yeah.
walking in your truth.
Yeah.
And when you understand that, like you said, some folks will fall by the... But then, like the old saying, some folks in your life for a reason.
Yeah.
And
some
a
for
season.
Yeah.
And you think about that and why. And then some folks come in your life for a moment to inspire you, and then they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I think about people who've come in my life who I've met one time, but left and poured into me something, and I've never seen them again. How amazing is that? That's just God's angel sending you.
Yeah.
You know, do you remember your first poem that you ever read?
Oh my goodness. I don't remember the first poem I ever read, but I do remember reading, there's this poem by Langston Hughes that I love that I did discover.
I wonder if it's one of my favorite ones.
What is your favorite?
In the Morning.
I like that. You know,
Liza, Liza, bless the Lord. Don't you know the days of war? You better listen here, you lazy scamp. You better get out this bed before there's trouble in this here camp. My mother recited that poem to me every day. That was the way my mother woke us up.
Wake you up in the morning.
My mother had a poem for each son, and she recited poetry. She never called us or yelled. Each body had a poem, and that was how you got up in the morning. Isn't that something?
That's so wonderful.
And my mother recited
wonderful.
that 10 years ago to her great-grandchildren. And she hadn't did that in years, and she just went right into it. And I was like, the power of words.
That's a great story.
Is that your favorite poem? What's your favorite poem?
My favorite Langston Hughes poem is a poem called Suicide Song. When I was a young person, I was really an at-risk young person. I stayed in trouble, and I did not know how to love myself. This poem, Suicide Note, though it's about suicide, it really did end up saving my life, and it's a very short poem. It's shorter even than that. It's the calm, cool face of the river asked me for a kiss. That's the whole thing. And you know, it was the for a kiss that I fell in love with. Like this person is really just looking for tenderness.
How about that?
And so he jumps in the river looking for tenderness. You know what I mean? When I can think about my life in that way, being a person who really what I'm seeking and really what everyone else is seeking is some tenderness.
That's all we want.
Yeah, that's all we
Tenderness.
want. Try a little tenderness.
Oh, child, what a word. But I think when I think about poets, I always say you are prophets because you are speaking power and wisdom and inspiring each other and touching souls in ways, words, and how powerful are words. Mm-hmm. And I think about people who have made statements in their life. Mm-hmm. You know, like sitting and watching a documentary one time on Dr. Height. Mm-hmm. And she said, we are not a problem people. Mm-hmm. We are people with problems. Mm-hmm. That slapped me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Because people like to give pathology to black folk. Like we're only capable of awful or only capable of evil. But when you look at anybody, everybody's got their problems. Everybody's got their problems. Folks like to project our problems as if they're worse than anybody else's problems. But everybody's got problems. But no, I tell you what nobody has. Nobody has the resilience that black people have.
Oh, of course not.
Nobody has the will to survive that black people have. You know what I mean? So if you want to really project something, we can project the truth. Black people are amazing. We're amazing, given how we thrive, considering the history that this country has given us.
How about that?
And this world.
That's
all over the world.
That's a whole nother album. The resilience of, and not even thinking about, when I think about Black people, I think about people who struggle, people who are oppressed. But I think about all people who've been oppressed, LGBTQI people, and their oppression, and how it all intertwines of liberation, and how we inspire people to get free.
Yeah.
Through words, poems, speeches, teaching inspires us to get free. Teachers in my life who instilled in me and saw something that I did not see, because I was so caught up in my madness. But they saw the potential of my greatness. And when I think about you being a teacher pouring into your students, my goodness.
Yeah. I've been on tour with this book. I've been on tour since March 16th. Today is June 20, what is it? 4th. And I haven't been home more than 2 or 3 nights in a row that whole time. And I think the reason why I'm able to do it is giving readings every night. There are people in the audience. And it's not just that I'm talking to them. I can feel them coming back to me.
Wow.
So there's an interchange that happens. You know this because you're on stage all the time. When things are really working out, it's not just that you are giving. It's that something from that audience is coming. When you give, as soon as you give, it comes back to you. And that's the thing about the power of words. That's the thing about poetry. That's the thing about doing the kind of work that we're doing and being in front of people and giving of ourselves. That keeps us going because we know we're actually helping somebody.
How about that?
You know?
It fuels your spirit.
Yeah.
Even when you're very tired.
Yes.
And you feel a little broken sometimes.
Yes.
I experienced something over the weekend, and it was greater than myself. There were 4 little girls, 4 little Black colored girls, who were all under the age of 25, that walked over to me and said, they sent one first, and she came over and said, Rayceen, you inspire me. I'm 25 years old, I'm just coming out. I've watched you my whole life. You've inspired me to get free. She was shaking. I was moved. And I hugged her, and I took her in to my bosom, because I could feel. And at that moment, it said to me, everything prior to going, all that I had gone through this whole journey and dealing with people and drama and stuff, these are the moments that when you understand your calling.
It makes it worth it.
And I know when you have those moments as a teacher, when you look and connect to your students as you're speaking.
This is why gratitude is so important. You know, when you're given a gift, you have to return that gift by saying thank you. And she was returning that gift to you by saying thank you and sending you along. That memory will give you the strength that you need to do something that comes along 10 years from now.
How about that?
Do you know what I'm saying?
It will push me. It will fuel me. It'll push me.
Yeah.
Because it lets you know when you're called to action.
Yeah.
You know, and Bishop Yvette Flunder said the most profound thing to me one day. I was feeling a little broken. She said, Rayceen, the moment you stand in liberation, you wear a bullseye on your back. And be prepared for the arrows to come.
Oh my God.
When she said that, we were at dinner. And when she said that, I was like, I needed to hear that. And I needed to understand that it's okay. When they put them arrows in your back, you still gotta walk.
You still gotta walk.
And you still gotta stand. And you're not broken. You're bruised, but you're not broken. And then moments come to refuel you and collect you and inspire you, and people and moments and eye contacts and whispering and in gratitude. You know, I think, and I'm grateful that God connected us on that fateful day.
Yeah, that was a good day.
That was a good day, a fateful day. And you had said, I'm a teacher. I live in LA. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And little did I know, 15 years later, we would still be connected.
Yeah.
How about that?
This is great.
And that is so profound, how the Spirit works. And I know, what book is this for you?
My third book. It's third book of poetry. And you know, I hate to say that I wouldn't want my other books to hear it. But the experience of, I was gonna say I had a favorite book, but I'll say this. The experience of writing this book was like no other. It was the hardest thing I ever loved. It's the hardest work I love doing. This book called after me. Most of this book was written in such a short period of time between, I would say, Thanksgiving of 2017 and Martin Luther King Day of 2018. These poems would not leave me alone, Rayceen.
Wow.
I was pulling over on the side of the road. I was writing in the notes of my iPhone, getting poems down. I couldn't stop. You know how like sometimes you're like, what's next? When is it coming? Where is it gonna be? And I had been working on this book little by little, but something just hit and everything came together and I was chasing poems and I was being chased by poems.
Wow.
So
and let me say, chasing. When this event came about and I mentioned your name, so many young poets were like, oh my God, Jericho Brown.
Oh, that's nice.
He inspires me.
Thank you.
And I was listening to them and I was like, well, you know, he's my friend.
I love it.
I say, that's my friend, that's
cool.
my buddy, that's my brother. And to hear young poets talk about you the way we would talk about Gwendolyn Brooks,
Yeah.
James Baldwin, Audre Lorde, Maya Angelou, and hear your name mentioned as the way we would speak about those who laid the foundation. My spirit opened and I said, this young man is walking in his greatness.
Thank you so much.
God bless you. Thank you. We appreciate you and I love you more than words can say.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank
Really
you. This has been a
appreciate it.
wonderful
Excited.
interview. I love you. I have many more to come. And I'm just so grateful. If I'd like to say, they're always, if you want to leave something with someone, what would you like to leave something with someone? Or maybe 3 words that you could leave someone, or a saying or a phrase.
I know exactly what I want to say. And it was something that was said to me a long time ago, actually by Nikki Giovanni when I was a very young person. We asked her for advice and she said, never say no. And that's the way I've lived. Whenever something comes my way, I have a yes for it.
Wow.
When I feel a spirit of love, and that's romance or not, when I feel a spirit of love, I say yes. You gotta say it. You gotta have a yes in your spirit. You gotta be ready for the yes.
And I'm always saying yes.
Yeah, never say no.
I always say yes.
Yeah.
To things that are not even lucrative.
Yes.
To a lot of free stuff.
Yes.
I'm saying yes.
Yes.
To stuff that I know that the person on the other end should be paying me.
Yeah.
But I say yes because I know that I need to be there. Sometimes you have to be there and say, but now hearing that is affirming my spirit.
Yeah.
When I say yes. And when my production manager, my team, and Zara and them be like pushing me when I want to say no. And they say yes, you are affirming me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to receive that.
Yeah, never say no.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
God
Appreciate it.
bless you.
All right.